For generations, we have stared into mirrors and stepped onto scales, fundamentally misunderstanding the most abundant tissue in our bodies. We have been conditioned to view our physical form through a narrow lens, judging our flesh entirely by its shape, size, or ability to lift heavy things. This perspective limits our understanding, reducing a dynamic, life sustaining system to a mere aesthetic object or a crude mechanical tool for locomotion. The common assumption is that our biceps, quads, and glutes act simply as levers and pulleys, pulling on bone to move us through the world. We associate these fibers with athletes, gym goers, and the pursuit of physical dominance. But what if this biomechanical view is entirely inadequate? The real surprise lies in a profound biological truth that completely rewrites the story of human physiology and our daily approach to movement. Emerging research has decisively redefined skeletal muscle as the largest endocrine organ in the human body. An endocrine organ is traditionally understood as a gland, like the thyroid or pancreas, that secretes hormones directly into the blood to regulate bodily functions. Scientists now recognize that our muscular system performs this exact role on a massive scale. Every time a fiber contracts, it acts as a secretory gland, releasing powerful chemical messengers that dictate our overall well being. These signaling proteins are known as myokines. Discovered relatively recently in the timeline of medical science, myokines are the biological vocabulary that our muscles use to communicate with the rest of the body. When you walk, lift, or even shiver, your muscular tissue synthesizes and releases hundreds of these unique molecules into your bloodstream. They are not waste products of exertion, but rather highly targeted instructions dispatched to distant organs. Recognizing this chemical language requires a complete reframing of why we exercise. You are not just burning calories or building mechanical strength when you move. You are actively operating a vast internal pharmacy. By contracting your fibers, you are dispensing custom made therapeutics that travel to your brain, your liver, and your fat cells. This daily physical practice is the most direct way to prescribe yourself a dose of systemic resilience. One of the most extensively studied of these messengers is interleukin 6. In the context of chronic illness, this specific molecule is often associated with damaging inflammation. However, when interleukin 6 is secreted directly from contracting muscular tissue during exercise, it behaves entirely differently. It acts as a potent anti inflammatory agent. This pulse of activity temporarily elevates the molecule in the bloodstream, which then triggers a cascade of healing responses that actively suppress dangerous, low grade systemic inflammation. This precise mechanism is a cornerstone of our metabolic health. The conversation between our muscular system and our internal organs is continuous and vital. When the chemical signals reach our liver, they help regulate glucose production. When they interact with our adipose tissue or body fat, they stimulate the breakdown of stored energy. This intricate muscle organ crosstalk is a primary reason why physical activity is so effective at managing and preventing chronic metabolic conditions. A critical outcome of this internal dialogue is the enhancement of insulin sensitivity. Insulin is the hormone responsible for shuttling glucose from our blood into our cells for energy. When we are sedentary, our cells can become resistant to this signal, leaving dangerous levels of sugar circulating in our veins. The chemical messengers released during movement effectively unlock the doors of our cells, allowing them to absorb glucose efficiently and keeping our blood sugar stable. This understanding positions our physical mass as a crucial metabolic safeguard. The more healthy, active tissue we maintain, the larger our reservoir for disposing of excess blood glucose. It acts as a sponge, soaking up the sugars that would otherwise contribute to metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. Protecting this tissue is not about preparing for a bodybuilding competition, but about constructing a robust defense system against the modern epidemic of metabolic dysfunction. But does this chemical signaling stop at the neck? For years, the separation between the physical body and the mind was treated as an impenetrable wall. We now know that the messengers produced by our physical exertion possess the remarkable ability to cross the blood brain barrier. Stay with us to uncover how the simple act of contracting a bicep directly alters the architecture of your brain. Another fascinating messenger secreted during exertion is a molecule called irisin. Once irisin enters the bloodstream, it travels upward and initiates a profound neurological response. It stimulates the production of brain derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that acts like fertilizer for our neural networks. This protein encourages the growth of new neurons and strengthens the synapses connecting them, directly enhancing memory, learning capacity, and overall cognitive function. The implications for mental well being are staggering. The biological dialogue initiated by physical movement provides a direct defense against cognitive decline and mood disorders. Regular activation of this internal pharmacy has been shown to alleviate symptoms of depression and anxiety by flooding the brain with these neuroprotective chemicals. The clarity and elevated mood you feel after a brisk walk are not just psychological relief, but the result of a very real, measurable chemical intervention. Unfortunately, the modern lifestyle has inadvertently silenced this vital conversation. We spend hours seated at desks, trapped in cars, and resting on couches. When our physical frame remains dormant, the production of these life sustaining messengers drops dramatically. This silence creates a dangerous void in our internal communication network. Without the regular anti inflammatory signals generated by movement, the body becomes highly susceptible to the slow, destructive creep of chronic inflammation. We often mistakenly blame the natural aging process for the aches, lethargy, and metabolic slowing we experience in our later years. While time certainly plays a role, a significant portion of this decline is actually driven by the loss of this chemical signaling. It is a condition of our own making, born from an environment that no longer demands physical exertion for survival. We are not just losing strength, we are losing our primary chemical defense system. The medical term for the age related loss of this vital tissue is sarcopenia. As the tissue shrinks, so does the size of our largest internal organ. The pharmacy closes its doors. The metabolic sink that once soaked up excess glucose becomes smaller and less efficient. This reduction is a primary driver behind why metabolic diseases and physical frailty spike as we age. Preserving this mass is therefore a non negotiable requirement for a long, healthy life. The science empowers us with a clear path forward. To keep the pharmacy open and the signals flowing, we must engage in consistent, intentional movement. This does not require extreme athletic endeavors or punishing routines. The threshold for activating this glandular response is surprisingly accessible. Simple, regular contractions are enough to stimulate the release of these vital compounds and maintain the health of the entire systemic network. Incorporating resistance training into your weekly routine is one of the most effective ways to preserve and stimulate this endocrine function. Whether it involves lifting weights, using resistance bands, or simply performing bodyweight exercises like squats and push ups, the goal is to challenge the fibers. This challenge forces the tissue to adapt, grow, and continuously produce the chemical messengers that protect your brain, heart, and metabolic system from the ravages of a sedentary life. Even cardiovascular activities like brisk walking, cycling, or swimming play a crucial role in this internal dialogue. While resistance training builds the capacity of the organ, aerobic exercise ensures a steady, rhythmic release of anti inflammatory signals. The combination of both modalities creates a comprehensive communication strategy, ensuring that every organ in your body receives the chemical support it needs to function optimally and resist disease. Clinical studies consistently demonstrate that individuals who maintain higher levels of active physical mass exhibit lower markers of systemic inflammation and a drastically reduced risk of all cause mortality. These measurements are not subjective feelings, they are hard biological data points. Blood panels reveal improved lipid profiles, lower resting blood sugar, and a robust immune response in those who regularly engage their physical frame. The evidence points to movement as a fundamental pillar of human longevity. Think of your daily movement not as a chore to burn off last night's dinner, but as a mandatory deposit into your long term health account. Every step you take, every grocery bag you carry, and every stair you climb is an opportunity to send a healing signal throughout your body. You hold the power to dictate the chemical environment in which your cells live, simply by choosing to engage your physical form. We must discard the outdated notion that exercise is solely a tool for weight loss or physical transformation. The fitness industry has long prioritized the superficial, selling us a narrative focused on achieving a specific look. This shallow perspective ignores the profound, life saving biology occurring beneath the skin. When we measure the value of a workout only by the calories burned, we completely miss the invisible, miraculous chemistry that is actually saving our lives. The future of preventative medicine lies in this profound understanding of human physiology. Researchers are actively exploring how to harness the power of these specific chemical messengers to develop new treatments for neurodegenerative diseases, metabolic disorders, and even cancer. As our knowledge of this complex biological vocabulary expands, the prescription for movement will become increasingly precise, tailored to elicit specific chemical responses to combat specific ailments. Until that future arrives, the power remains entirely in your hands. You possess the most sophisticated, dynamic, and powerful chemical manufacturing plant ever discovered, and it operates entirely on your command. By choosing to move, to lift, and to challenge yourself, you are actively writing the script of your own biological destiny. You are turning the key in the ignition of a system designed to keep you vibrant, resilient, and deeply alive. The next time you feel the burn of exertion, recognize it for what it truly is. It is not just physical fatigue, it is the feeling of your largest organ waking up and going to work. It is the silent, life saving conversation happening between your fibers, your brain, and your heart. Honor this incredible system, keep the dialogue flowing, and watch as your entire approach to health transforms from the inside out.